So I've been wanting to make videos on level design for a while now, and I didn't really know where to start, but I think what I want to do is just take a game that I like, in this case Left 4 Dead, and to just kind of walk through the level and kind of analyze things. I will be going into this blind, so I don't really know what to expect. I don't know what they did beforehand. It's just going to be me and my level design experience as a hobby and from the CGMA course. But it's more intended as a learning experience for me and a learning experience for you. And we'll just go ahead and analyze some levels and just kind of see what they did. I want to start with Left 4 Dead 1 because that's really the game that started it. They would probably have put the most effort into making sure that the first time player experience is very good. So let's see what they did. So immediately when you start this level, there is one light shining down onto the table with the weapons. And there is another light right here above the door, which is very bright. And when you do the squint test, which is when you squint your eyes and you just kind of look at the scene and you walk around, take note of what is very visible even when you're squinting your eyes. And that is going to be what draws the player's attention the most. And that's going to kind of help you understand, okay, when a player enters this area, this is how I'm kind of subconsciously guiding them towards where they need to be. On top of the fact that we're on a roof, so we can't really go anywhere else, we can't really jump off here. This thing here, I'm not sure what it's called, it's like a skylight. You can break this and go in, but it has not received any special attention in regards to like lighting or just making it noticeable. So what the fuck did you do, Lewis? What I think, oh my god, what I think is that this is meant to be kind of like an alternative route that is more advanced and not intended for like a first time player to just stumble upon. Because obviously when you jump into this, you're kind of exposing yourself to kind of surrounding threats. So there's a couple zombies there. Let's forget about that and let's just play the level and see what else we notice. So we've got this obvious light here, this obvious door, and I'm gonna open it. Okay. If you remember my point I made earlier about the squint test and what you notice, you will actually notice that this fridge is very, very present. And the question is why, right? Because the fridge actually turns out not to be all that important at all. And yet it very much draws your attention, so people are going to walk over here and take a look. What I do know is that the fridge is white. And because the fridge is white, it's going to bounce a lot of light around. So it's going to appear rather bright because of all the white materials inside the fridge. I feel like there has to be a purpose to this, so I'm actually going to restart. I don't think this is a coincidence. What I think, and we'll check if this is correct, but I think that the fridge is trying to draw my attention to the fact that there's going to be a zombie there. So let's take a good look. When you open this door, what do we see? We actually see a light at the end of the hallway, and we do see that zombie is kind of lit up by everything. The light from the fridge is actually the light that is bouncing off this wall and kind of creating this this light here that helped me see the zombie when I first walked in. Yeah, that's it. So that's why this fridge is so bright. It's because it is supposed to make a lot of light so that when you walk in here, you can immediately see the zombie, which is lit up by the fridge. Okay, so moving on. Okay, moving on. The TV is pretty noticeable. Now, I'm not entirely sure why they would do that. I think the purpose is just that the television lights up the room and it's kind of like a way to kind of help the player. So maybe that's it. You first start the game, you first start Left 4 Dead, you want to help the player, so what you do is you make most dark areas rather lit up. And so this television serves as a light source to light up this room. And I would assume that in later parts of the game, they end up being a lot less dark. And that just in the beginning of Left 4 Dead, things are going to be brighter because we want the player to get used to fighting zombies. And we don't want them to do that in an environment that's already really dark and where it's hard to see what they're doing. Every time I play the game, I'm more tempted to walk over here because this lit up hallway is off to my side. And like visually, if I'm coming over here, the first thing I see is that area, the bathroom over in the distance. And then I see this area. So I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of that is. It kind of throws you for a loop and you're a little bit confused. And then this is the darker area. Now, despite the fact that this area is darker and so more dangerous, there are still cool items over here. I got some pain pills and an axe. So it is worth it to explore, but there is a trade-off for the player. They are venturing into, a territory where visibility is low. Unless, of course, you use your flashlight, but even that is limited. But I cannot tell you why this bathroom is as bright as it is. I'm really not sure. And I feel like it really draws your attention to walk over here. So maybe that's what they wanted you to do, is they wanted to draw you over into this area so that you would at least see the dark area here. And at the very least, have it be shown to you like, hey, this is a place that you can go, instead of immediately drawing your attention to this hallway and possibly making you completely forego this entire area. Yeah, I think it is to draw in the player to here. Let's move on. Now for the rest of these rooms, I feel like it's kind of the same story. They are rather bright and they're meant to kind of help the player see what they're doing, see what's going on. Here, obviously, again, a big light drawing me over here. You see the broken wall. You see some blood leading into a door where you find some items. These decals are actually also helping guide the player by kind of drawing a visual line, if you squint again, drawing a visual line that goes towards that door. It's not super noticeable, like it's not super in your face, but it still subtly draws you towards this closet over here where there was adrenaline. Okay, so you get this bright light, you go over here, you see this hole in the wall, you see another light in the distance, so you go over there, and you'll kind of notice that if you follow the light in at least in this apartment, in this part of the game, you will simply be drawn towards where you need to go. So again, I'm standing over here now, next to this light. We look down and we can see some more light down there. So like that's telling us, okay, there is something going on down there. So if we stand over here, we can see the light from downstairs. So again, that is drawing our attention visually down here. There's something interesting going on here because there is another light over there that is a softer color. So it is less noticeable, but it does stand out because it is simply a different color. And if we go over there, we can see that's the exit sign. So that's actually where we need to be going. And if we were to follow this light instead, which is again being emitted by a fridge, which is lighting up this room, and we have the light over here, which draws us over there. This vending machine, this prop, is guiding us in this direction. So we're drawn over here, and then we see the green light again. Ultimately, you can see if we follow the lights, we get taken to where the game wants us to be. But at the same time, decals and props are also guiding us by how they are oriented. And I actually haven't talked a lot about props so far. I've mostly been talking about light. So let's see if we can spot some other things. So let's go outside. If we just come over here and we follow this, again we see light, we see the fire. There is a room to the left here, but again, this is a room that you need to discover. So this is not a room that the game purposefully reveals to you. You do kind of have to go over there and explore. but the game does reward it. And so that's the whole risk and reward thing again. There is no lights here, it's a bit more dangerous, but they do give you a bunch of items. Okay, so, you know, you go to the fire, you know, because that's very bright. And then you come to this area, so this junction here. God damn it, guys, stop messing around. We come over here. You might be tempted to go straight, because visually, again, if we squint, there is not much distinction from one route into the other. Aside from those pipes on that building, which if you squint, they are kind of horizontal, guiding me in the horizontal direction. So this is rather ambiguous. It is almost ambiguous. When I go over there, what am I gonna see? So it's a dead end. It is a dead end. Okay. I don't know. I can't really say that there is much guiding me to the left here. I have to be honest. Not everything has to guide you, of course. And like, if you just even turn this corner and look, you will see that bright area at the end of it. I am being choked. If you look up, there are the cables that kind of go over there. And we go to that building and kind of guide the player over like that. So if we come out here, yeah, those cables, they're kind of there, but they go rather high up, so I don't think you'd normally notice this. It becomes vague until you turn to the left. Okay, we're done with that section, so let's move on. The police cars' lights are very bright, so that very obviously draws my attention. This is more light over there in the distance, so that draws me over there. I'm almost like a moth just following the light here. So again, we've got very bright headlights. Then that area over there is really bright. I'm wondering why this particular room is so bright. It really makes me wonder because it's very bright when I stand over here. It is almost visually the most dominant aside from the fire on the left. And yet, when you go to this building, there isn't much there. But still, it is really dominant. I don't... and this is a side path, again. Huh. Maybe that's why. So, it's drawing me in. Oh, god damn it. Because it wants me to be here. And you can actually get to the room behind that bright room, which does have health and other things. But I feel like that's a slight bit of a stretch. I don't know. Maybe it is the intention, though. Going back to the props, you can see that this truck here is kind of rotated. And if you follow this line, it's pulling us in that direction. Now you can see that light over there in the distance. God damn it, god damn it, god damn it. What I've always found interesting about this area is how... What I've always found interesting about this area... Oh my fucking god, you're gonna let me speak? What I've always found interesting about this area is that this truck's lines do guide you over here. And then you can see that there's some light. There's some light over there. And then over here as well. So it's kind of pulling you in over here. But this is a dark area, so I feel like this is a side path. And for the most part, the intention still seems to be to just have a bunch of lit up areas that you draw the player towards. And yeah, so if you actually come over here, so where the other light was, this fan, the way it's parked, points you in this direction. You follow this, you see the little safe house decal, and then, you know, you're pretty much there, right? Oh god. Let's just go down here, and then this area is completely lit up, and then we have a very bright light right above the safe house door. Guys, can you help me? You have the very bright light over here, massively bright, and I think that's like pretty much the summary of this whole first area. Is just there is a lot going on with the lights, just which areas are lit, and how do those lit areas draw attention to enemies and draw the attention to where the player needs to go next. They're kind of like dotted around the world as little waypoints for the player, like, okay, you want to go over here, you want to go over there. And the player is being subtly guided to the exit in that way. There is some stuff going on with the props, but it is not as present in this first level as I thought it would be. I feel like a massive amount of it is still guiding me through the lighting. Mostly the lighting. A little bit of decals, mostly lighting. So I want to actually go back now. I just wanted to come back in and make sure that I didn't miss anything regarding props. When I look at it light is doing the heavy lifting here. You could say that this couch is not directly positioned in front of the TV. It's actually more pointed towards this doorway. And then you have these trash bags, which actually draw a line in that direction, which draw me over here. But then I kind of get confused and turn around. And then there is a bright light on that wall that is very noticeable when I come over here. This door leads me into this room. This couch here as well, it's rotated a bit, pointing towards here. And this shelf as well, aimed at the door. So props are being used actually to guide the player, but not all the time. But they do something with it. And I think actually they do this more heavily in Left 4 Dead 2. Not so much in Left 4 Dead 1. Remember, you don't always have to guide the player. You can play with these elements, with the lighting, with how props creates lines that you follow to know where to go. You can play with these elements. You can choose to make the player more confused or less confused to your liking, because maybe sometimes you do want the player to explore an area. Maybe you do want the player to get a little bit confused. But in this case, because it's the first level, I think they went very heavy with the lighting and wanted to make sure that the player absolutely knew where they were trying to go. In Left 4 Dead 2, I've noticed more of a use of landmarks and such to kind of guide the player, which isn't as present here. I will check, because I feel like No Mercy Hospital should be visible from here. And it is! There it is! I can't believe that I looked over that. But it is right there. So they do have a landmark, but I kind of feel like it is obscured most of the time. The fact that I didn't notice means that my attention wasn't drawn to it. I didn't know that existed. So let me follow this road again. So here it's very visible if you look up, but you're going to be focused more down here because this is where the zombies are. What I would do is you want to kind of set up the player to see the landmark as part of the route that they're following. So if I'm following this road here, at no point will I be positioned. Like here, I would expect a slope here that kind of pushes me upwards and at least pushes me to look at that landmark in the distance. But that's not happening. Maybe it isn't meant to be visible from here, necessarily. Maybe it's meant to be visible. Yeah, see, you got the opening camera and it starts pointed at the Mercy Hospital, but it happens so fast that you don't even see it. By the time the game actually started, you don't even see that anymore. And even here, there isn't really anything drawing your attention to it. So, I feel very conflicted about this. It's there, but it's not being drawn to specifically. There is not a positioning happening of the player where this landmark is being framed. Well, I say it's not good, but I mean, it could very well be their intention and it could very well be okay. Because why would you care about showing the player the landmark so clearly when they've literally just got hallways to follow and very bright lights? So that kind of lowers the necessity for the landmark to be as noticeable as it is. I'm gonna end this here, but it's actually been very educational, like just this first section of Left 4 Dead, like how many things you can notice where they made very conscious decisions in how they would want to guide the player, from making rooms bright so that when you're a new player you don't have to worry too much about the darkness, but leaving the explorable areas darker, and then drawing the player in with bright spots dotted around the level, and then also some subtle guidance with decals, with prop orientation, but not so much framing, or at least not that I've noticed so far. It is very much relying on just bright lights. That is what it feels like right now. And yeah, thank you for watching.